So as I mentioned a few moments ago, if you've been attending board meetings over the past year, our Finance and Facilities Chair and Board Vice President, Mr. Gilfillan, has given periodic updates about a potential capital improvement proposal that we were considering or have been considering putting to the voters. So this is a rundown of the projects that we've identified, that the board has identified as being important and having value to enhance the facilities in the school district. So first, just two quick points. The reason why it is attractive to a certain degree to try to fund an improvement via a referendum is that when a proposal is put to the voters and it passes, it becomes eligible for state debt service if it qualifies. And there are certain rules about what qualifies and what doesn't. But for the projects that do qualify, the state debt service translates into about 34% or 34% of a reduction to the local taxpayer. So first of all, it reduces the cost. And then second of all, because interest rates are very low right now and the district's credit rating is very strong, we believe that we can qualify for an attractive interest rate. So there are 10 potential projects that we have discussed. We have worked with our architectural professionals as well as our bond counsel for the Board of Education. They've looked at each project. They've come up with an estimate. We've projected potential state debt service qualification, which gets us to the net district cost that you see up here. And then we've looked at the total tax impact. So I'm going to go through each project in the subsequent slides, but if all 10 projects were to be put in front of the voters, and if all 10 projects were to gain voter approval, and if the projects qualified for state debt service in the way we estimate, or our professionals estimate, then the total annual tax impact per $100,000 of valuation would be $20 roughly in the borough and $19 in the township. So in other words, if your house were worth $500,000, you would multiply these numbers by 5. If your house is worth $1 million, you would multiply them by 10. And they are based on a bond of between $10 and $16 million and an interest rate of 3.5%, which is very conservative at the present time. Our bond counsel thinks we would be an attractive client and we would get a lower interest rate. But for our purposes, we've erred on the side of being conservative. So there are 3 categories of improvements, as you can see. One relates to safety and security. The next relates to projects that impact curricular or extracurricular programs in some way. And then finally, we have straight infrastructure investments. So on the safety and security side, first project would be to install more secure entry points at all of our schools. So schools that are built now in New Jersey are required to have a double set of locking doors so that if a visitor gains entry into the first set of doors, they are kind of stuck or trapped in between the 2 sets of locking doors. So proposal number 1 is to install secure vestibules at all of the entrances to all of our schools, all the front entrances to all of our schools. And the total tax impact per $100,000 would be about 88 cents in the borough and 82 cents in the township, if that project were to pass, and it would qualify for state debt service, as you can see. Second item is the upgrade to our fire alarm systems in any school building that has not had a comprehensive upgrade to this point. As most of you are probably aware, our schools all are between 50 and 100 years old. They've been added onto, there are additions, and we have some fire alarm panels that have not yet been fully replaced. So fully replacing them would cost about $450,000. This project would qualify for debt service, and therefore the total cost would be a little bit under $300,000, and that results in a tax impact of about 50 cents per $100,000 of value of a home. Next up are the curricular and extracurricular investments. So the first on this list is one that you maybe have seen in prior board presentations. For a couple of years now, we've hoped to replace the track at Cougar Field, which is the only running track in Chatham. It's used year-round. It is used by our recreation programs, our own running programs, and also special events. And the track is beyond its life. So to replace the track, it will cost, our estimate is about $600,000. It will not qualify for state debt service. The reason for that is that it's not located at a school facility, and it's not used during the school day. It's used strictly for extracurricular purposes. So the total cost would be the same as the net district cost, $600,000 and change, and that would result in about $1 of tax impact per $100,000 of value. Right behind our high school, we have a very large multi-purpose field that we use at the present time for baseball and for field hockey and for marching band. However, in the past, it's been used for other sports, and we could potentially use it for other sports again if we were to replace it and invest in it. The proposal would be to replace the field, which is in rough shape right now, with artificial turf that would be multi-purpose so that we could line it for a number of different sports, more sports than we currently are able to house back there. And if we were to do that, we believe that this project would qualify for state debt service because the whole field is also used by our physical education classes on a daily basis. It would improve the length of time over the course of the year where we could use the field. It would enable us to run our phys ed classes out there more frequently over the course of the year, and it would benefit athletic teams as well as recreational teams. The total cost for that project would be $4.5 million. The net cost to the district would be about $3 million after state debt service, and that would result in about a $5 impact to property taxes on a $100,000 basis. Number 5 is to expand the field house at Cougar Field. Anyone who's been involved in some of our athletic programs knows that we have about 100 boys or so using this field house, and there's one toilet in the facility. So it is not up to our requirements in terms of use and functionality. The total cost there would be about $740,000. There's a lot of site work that is needed to expand the field house, and the total cost would be about $1.25 or so per $100,000 of value. This project also would not qualify for state debt service because it's located at Cougar Field. 2 of our rooms in our high school are original to the construction of the school, pretty much. A lot of the furniture, fixtures, flooring in one of the rooms are original. There's asbestos abatement that needs to happen, and these are our 2 primary art classrooms, which service hundreds of students a year. So the proposal would be a complete renovation of both of the art classrooms. This would qualify for state debt service in the amount of $226,000 for a total of about $439,000, and the total tax impact would be about 75 cents per $100,000 of assessed value. You can just see some of the storage areas and the desks and so forth. Then we move on to just straight, pure infrastructure investments. The first one is a replacement of HVAC units that have surpassed their lifespans at Lafayette and the high school. These are mostly classroom-based HVAC systems. So any teacher in one of these buildings can tell you that the temperature control is not always what it could be. This would lead to the replacement of those to improve the temperature and climate control and so forth. It also would qualify for state debt service, so the $730,000 price tag would be reduced to about $482,000, which translates into roughly an 80 cents per $100,000 tax impact. As everyone also knows, our roofs are in constant need of replacement. The reason for this is that all of our schools have been added onto multiple times over many, many decades. And as a result of that, our roofs are at different points in their lifespans. We have a number of partial roofs that are coming due or that are passing the end of their lifespans. And this is at all of our schools except for Lafayette. So to replace the partial roofs in each of the schools, the 5 schools where they are due, would cost roughly $6.7 million. Roofs do qualify for state debt service at 2.3, so the total district cost would be $4.4 million, which translates into about $7.65 in the borough, $7.11 in the township per $100,000 of assessment. Second to last year, Southern Boulevard School is our oldest school, over 90 years old now. The brickwork at Southern is original, so is the foundation. We have water penetration through the brick and through the foundation, and what the proposal would be to repoint and to improve the water sealing and waterproofing around the foundation of the school. So the total cost for that is a little over $800,000. This too would qualify for debt service, we expect, and so the net cost would be about $500,000 and change, which falls just under $1 per $100,000 of assessment. And finally, at Chatham Middle School, which dates back to 1958, the building itself, the main corridors, the ceilings, the lighting fixtures, and so forth, all throughout the main corridors, and even the vestibule at the auditorium, all need replacement. The total cost of that is also in the $800,000 range. State debt service projected at $275,000. Total tax impact of about 90 cents per $100,000. So summarizing again from the beginning, if you add up everything that I just described, you come to about a $20 impact per $100,000 for all of the projects. And these estimates, again, are based on the professionals that work for the school district in terms of bond counsel and architects. So what will happen next will be similar to what we did and what the board did 4 years ago at the last referendum proposal, which is to begin with a survey of residents. So after today, we will be sending out a survey online. We'll do this via email within the district, and we are following with a hard copy letter to all residents to go to our website some point this month and just complete the survey to indicate whether you might support each project, you might not support each project, or maybe you're undecided. The board then will examine the results of the survey at the March, or I'll present them at least at the March 30th meeting. And at some point in April, maybe May at the latest, the board would decide which projects, if there are any, that it wishes to pursue with the voters. And the goal would be, just like last time, to present something to voters at the end of September, which is the first available date next school year. So the discussions will be ongoing from here on out once we hit March 30th especially, and the board will figure out what kind of proposal, what the format would be, a question for each project, for example, or a question for each overarching area. That would all be up to the board to decide in the coming weeks and months. So that's the rundown. Happy to take questions from the board members.